r/ask Reddit. Why did that teacher get fired from your school? 2 teachers. They got caught ducking in a classroom. My 5th grade teacher got caught ducking the IT dude in her classroom while we were out for recess. Neither got fired but were transferred to other schools. Now I'm really starting to wonder if any of my other teachers were ducking each other and nobody ever found out. Students laughed she ate toothpaste. Turns out she was an alcoholic trying to cover her breath. 9 out of 10 alcoholics recommend Crest TM. The 10th one passed out and couldn't recommend it. My math teacher was a volunteer first responder in NY. She left school to help out during 9/11 and was fired for not showing back up for 2 weeks. Ducking hell. The students and parents fought for her, but I think she decided not to come back because of the outright ducked upness. Dating a 16-year-old female student. He was also a paid teacher. Reddit. I should clarify that he did do jail time and is on the sex offenders register. It's always the paid teachers. It was the tech teachers for us. One of my high school teachers was caught on To Catch a Predator. I bet it was Walter Babst, the high school teacher from Riverside, CA. Bingo, you guessed it. I haven't watched the video in years. She had fallen off the wagon and was drinking a lot to the point where it was affecting her memory. We kept doing the same lecture on density in 6th grade science for a month, until one of my classmates decided to ask another teacher about it. From there she went to rehab. If anyone wants more context, she was our homeroom and science teacher. She was very nice and married to our assistant principal, so she had a little bit more leeway while she was able to remain sober for a while. She eventually passed away due to the effects of her addiction a few years after this. She never seemed like a bad teacher, but she was always stressed to the absolute maximum, always felt like she was working from behind, and generally struggling to keep up. You know, the traditional tail end of the functioning addict lifestyle, affecting rather than affecting. That may have been one of the lessons I missed. Your knowledge on density must be phenomenal. Do not fear the man who has learned 1,000 concepts once, but the man who has learned one concept 1,000 times. One of the elementary school teachers at the district I went to got arrested for making his class worship him like he was a cult leader. He was totally bonkers. What the duck? I don't know whether to laugh or be shocked. This is the weirdest one yet. Edit. Thanks for all the upvotes. Yeah, we all knew he was really odd, but I never expected him to start making the class call him master and making them say that he was a higher power. He didn't come to parent-teacher interview night. The next day, he was late for class and crashed his pickup into a brick sign outside the school. Cops showed up obviously and allegedly he blew twice the legal limit. He called the principal a dunt as he was taken away. Just while he was at it. Might as well vent some grudges. Our new band teacher was a young guy, fresh out of college. His first year teaching, and he embezzled about $1,000 from the band's funds. He got arrested and his possible future career ruined for $1,000. Edit. Probably my favorite part of the story was that he went by the name Mr. E. So once he was gone, the ruthless band kids referred to him as Mr. Embezzlement. I had a teacher with a gambling addiction claim thousands of dollars collected under his care was lost. School never reported it in and protected him because he was close to retirement. Our beloved teacher, Mr. Morn, had worked there for 29 years without incident and was one of the best teachers there. His classroom was always a laugh riot. He was the best roaster and encourages us to roast him properly. He never failed to get us motivated and a lot of us owe our career inspiration from him. He was fired because he had jokingly smacked a student on the back of his head for making a stupid comment. It was like something out of a sitcom and all of us expected it and loved it. Yet one student, who was new at the school, was culture shocked by this. He thought it was strange but hilarious. He told his mom offhandedly and his mom became the Karen. Never mind that the student was the teacher's godson. No physical contact was allowed, says the Karen. He was suspended with pay for 3 months pending investigation, then was let go because the Karen twisted the story and it blew up around the school. A year later, teacher won both the lawsuit against the school and libel case against the Karen, with her son being one of the key witnesses. We still keep in contact and roast him for getting rich over smacking kids around. Holy shit, imagine your son testifying against you for a libel case. She's always been kind of a bitch, Your Honor. Edit. Appreciate the love, but don't waste your money on me. Explained elasticity by pulling the bra strap of a girl. Another one for having relationship with a girl from 8th grade. 14 yo. Hey Susie, come here so I can explain the female reproduction to the class. Sir, but you haven't explained the male one yet. Geeky AV teacher that everyone loved. Knew he was a geek and owned it. Caught in a predator sting trying to solicit underage girls. The kicker was a spring school levy was coming up. Local police conspired with the school district to hide the charges for 3 weeks until the levy was passed. Someone substituted his class for 3 weeks. Yay, everyone was both devastated and pissed. The district ended the school year early. Does levy have a meaning besides drafting your serfs into a standing army? Yay. It means to impose a tax or fine. In this instance it would be a new tax proposal was coming up that would benefit the school. Arrested by the FBI for credit card fraud. It was a few months after the arrest when the reason why he disappeared came out in the open. After some of the others, I'm actually okay with yours. The principal of my elementary school got fired the first year he was hired, or took leave before he was arrested. I'm not actually sure which came first. So a couple kids in my 4th grade class thought they'd pranked the science teacher by pouring iodine and bleach into his coffee when he wasn't looking. The teacher tasted it as soon as the drink hit his tongue and immediately spit it out. He grilled the class and the kids admitted to it and got sent to the principal's office. The principal found out which of them physically poured the chemicals into the coffee, then took him into the bathroom to discipline him. Hit him. Apparently he grabbed the bottom of his jaw while screaming in his face. You could hear him echoing through the hallway. Then he squeezed hard enough that the boy started crying. So he slapped him across the face and told him to stop crying. The kid's dad was a lawyer BTW. Suddenly cops were in the building and our new principal was out the door. Edit. Along with the kids who poisoned the coffee. Edit 2/fun fact. One of those kids ended up becoming the local LSD dealer in high school. He showed up to a house party at my friend's house and spiked his 55-gallon fish tank with acid. Nice expensive fish too. Oscars, lionfish, etc. All of the fish died. Edit 3/correction. There was more than one fish tank. I think the lionfish were separated from the Oscars. Sorry fish people. My memory is foggy. Either way, all those fish were belly up the next morning and the big tank became a bottle cap receptacle after that. I mean, yes they were kids. But you literally could have just killed that guy if he had just gulped it. Duckers. Some kids at my high school put Drano in the chemistry teacher's water bottle and she, unfortunately, did gulp it and had to have reconstructive surgery to repair the damage to her esophagus digestive tract. Duckers indeed eater. This blew up and I've since referenced the news articles that were published about this incident. It appears my retelling was slightly incorrect. It was a single student and they were caught and charged. My high school of 500 students lost 5 teachers last year because they all had a relationship with the same 15yo girl : Is this real? Sadly, the story is that this girl started flirting with all her male teachers to get attention and good grades. And they all flirted back and sent her nudes and stuff. Then at the end of the year when she realized how ducked up it was, she exposed them to the whole school. He was a wonderful, friendly and handsome teacher. This girl had a crush. Some beach told the teacher about this girl's crush. The teacher felt awkward and avoided her eyes from then on. Girl got hurt. Complained to the principal that he was being creepy with her. All the heads, which included my father, were called for a beating with him. He got sick of defending himself. Shouted, "Duck y'all," and left the school. They fired him before he could hand out his resignation. Edit. To clarify some things, it was one of the best schools and all the rich kids studied there. I studied because my father was a faculty, otherwise we don't have so much money, and hence teachers were dealt with very harshly. On one occasion, a teacher was fired only because it seemed on the cameras that he hit a boy hard. The parents complained and he was fired the next day, without listening to him at all. My father knew that he just patted him, but the kid was spoiled and he lied. Also the teacher was a junior one. Nothing happened to the girls. Our Ike might have talked to them about it, but I DK about that. They graduated fine. No problem. I got to know about this incident later. When I was there, I just knew that he knows she has a crush on him and that he left one day. I mentioned my father so that you'll know how I know what happened in the meeting. He just knew that a girl has complained and now they are called. Also, the teacher we are talking about was every student's favorite. So other teachers were jealous and they all assumed he is very lenient and encourages us to not follow other teachers and stuff. So it might have made it hard for him to say he stayed professional always. When it's the kid's fault is the worst. Had a teacher in HS. He taught English and was the JVFB coach. He was a good man and well liked. His wife worked directly below him teaching geography and pregnant. Her family was known in the area for owning an apple orchard. They had a dream. The school officer's daughter started saying she slept with him. He denied but was promptly fired. He had a mental breakdown. His wife divorced him last I know. He was working at a TGI Fridays. His wife remarried and had another kid. The girl who lied came forward after and said she lied but it was too late. He remained fired, life ruined. She and her father transferred and moved out of town. That girl ruined his life and got no real consequences. Tragic. My sociology teacher in high school was fired for throwing a chalkboard eraser at a sleeping student's head. He was a great teacher and always did this in good humor. Obviously not a great idea in retrospect, but we all knew that we could get away with sleeping in his class if we didn't mind getting an eraser upside the head if he noticed. I heard he was fired a few years after I graduated high school, and that kinda bummed me out. Probably deserving of a reprimand of some sort, but not getting fired. It's not like he was a sex offender or guitar player. Guitar players are all fired on the spot. Because they like to finger a minor? One was fired for beating his wife and kids. Another one, assistant principal, was fired for sex with a male student on campus in her office. Another, the principal, resigned because he knew about that and let it happen. Edit. Here's a link. Haha. Why did the principal let it happen? Was he watching or something? Edit. No. I refuse to accept that. This is my top voted comment post anything of all time. I've been here for years and I've said a lot of thoughtful stuff and probably a few controversial things and more than one seriously hilarious thing. Every single thing I have ever posted is better than this comment. Please downvote this until it's under 2k at least. Edit though. U/EVKiller below has graciously agreed to accept all of my bullshit upvotes. Everyone please come back here and downvote me and upvote them. Thank you for your time. And remember, littering is for a-holes. He had already called next. He pushed some dumbass kid who hit him against a wall. So he defended himself? Or? Yeah, he was. My AP Chem teacher had an affair with the principal. Principal got fired too. I felt bad for her. They didn't do anything on school property, and it didn't impact her performance in the classroom. Also, the school wasn't able to find a qualified teacher to replace her halfway through the year. So we were all ducked come test time at the end of the year. Not one of us passed that AP test. That's messed up. There are very few teachers in a given school that are capable of teaching AP, especially without training. Not to mention that it was a rural area where there wasn't a surplus of teachers period, much less ones prepared for higher level courses. I don't blame the district for not being able to find an adequate replacement, but I do blame them for firing her in the first place. He was playing his guitar for students at my elementary school. He had been warned before, but the kids enjoyed it so he continued to play it for them anyways. One day, the assistant principal was lurking in the hallway and wandered to his classroom. She saw him playing his guitar and fired him on the spot. A whole lot of students were crying that day because he was an amazing guy. Edit. More information. This took place in a small, rural town in Georgia back in the early 2000s. He wasn't the music teacher. He just used to bring his guitar and play songs randomly on some days and the kids enjoyed it. He'd been warned multiple times by his higher-ups. Why? IDK. He was a great teacher. He thought that before the break, he could play something for us one last time during the last week of school. It just happened to be the worst possible timing. While the assistant principal was walking through the halls, he didn't come back to teach at our school when classes started again. If I recall, he got a job teaching at a different school. I don't see anything wrong with a little bit of music. Enjoyment and learning isn't allowed apparently. She was always drunk and drinking during class. She would leave us to cry in the bathroom. Bro, that's sad. They pretty much invented my high school French class grades to cover her drinking. Then I transferred schools and they were surprised at how little French I knew. I had such good grades. I heard a rumor that my favorite teacher from 9th grade got fired when I was in 10th grade because he left his class unattended. Honestly, amid all the pedophilia and rampant alcoholism, I like the anticlimax of this one. Hell, if my school was held to the same standards, we'd have no teachers left. High school gym teacher. Apparently he showed up to a hotel room expecting to bang a 13-year-old but got busted by the cops instead. It's always the gym teacher. Not every gym teacher wants to be a pedophile, but every pedophile wants to be a gym teacher. One was such an unlikable teacher they were asked to retire. One was watching porn in class. One sent someone else's dong pics to a student's mom. One robbed a bank. What subject was Mr. Bank Robber? That's Mrs. Bank Robber to you English. He straight up didn't show up to work one Monday, didn't call in to arrange a sub or anything. He ghosted the school for a whole week and then tried to come in the following Monday like nothing happened. We also had a 5th grade teacher overdose on meth, but I honestly don't know if she got fired or resigned. It didn't happen at school. My grade 2 teacher also got fired for not showing up. She did at least make plans for a sub most of the time, but we went weeks without seeing her. He got arrested driving through Nevada over the summer with 5 pounds of weed in his car that he'd bought in California. He had no intention on telling the district, and we only found out because a news reporter from the town he was arrested in contacted our superintendent for a quote on the matter. He was let go immediately. Edit. Here is a link to the article and I've corrected the weight of the weed that he was transporting. Apparently this story has been retold so many times that the amount of weed increased substantially with every retelling. A co-worker teacher got fired 2 weeks in the new semester when instead of uploading a video related to his subject, he instead accidentally continued a previously paused hardcore lesbian scene on the big interactive screen. The computer he was using was slow and shitty too, so he couldn't quickly exit the video. It went on for a good 30 seconds before someone pulled the plug on the screen. Around the same time he lobbed the laptop about 30 feet across the class. Yikes. This one's so horrible but also so plausibly completely accidental. He was caught trying to solicit a child prostitute during a sex trafficking sting. He was a social studies teacher at my middle school, and the arrest made local news when I was a freshman. Really shocked the district. Edit. Because a lot of people are asking for details. This happened in San Antonio, Texas in about 2013. Oh boy, where to start? Elementary school nurse was fired for taking the kids' medications. HS band teacher slept with a 15-year-old. Swim coach left a hotel that he was at with his mistress drunk and killed someone with his car. My high school had like 400 students. Duck bro, did you go to a high school from a CW show? Edit. First award, thank you. Thank you. Previously on Arrow. Dating a 16-year-old student. He was the band teacher. He also had a wife and kid. He went to jail and is now a registered sex offender. The state of Florida has asked us to. I still think about this all the time. The assistant principal that kicked me out school for smoking weed got arrested for picking up a prostitute, then fired. Pot will ruin your life, hug. He was legally blind and ended up stabbing and killing his wife. Here is a link to the story and the paper if anyone is interested. https://www.chicagotribune.com News CTX PM 1999 to 1908 17 9,908,170,203 story. HTML. It was a crazy week at school after that. In front of their kids too. Couldn't imagine watching both of my parents die right in front of me. And the news got a comment from their 12-year-old neighbor who witnessed it too. That's such a messed up situation. She embezzled thousands of dollars from various club funds. There were also rumors of her sleeping with students, but the administration never bothered to look into that. Sending nudes to her student. What the duck? Had a history teacher get fired for going off syllabus and spending time on the pre-Judaic flood stories. One of maybe 2 reasons I'm obsessed with Mesopotamian, Anatolian, Egyptian history now. North Middle School pay teacher walked into the girls' wardrobe and asked if he could watch one of them change their tampon as a joke. TW. Suicide. Our principal was escorted out by 2 police. Come to find out it was because he was caught committing fraud. He would assign students to classes without telling them to make it seem there were more kids in, let's say, the art department, so that the department would receive more funding from the government to continue. He meant well, but students caught on when we moved to college and transcripts from high school had a whole page F's or withdrawals. It really messed us up. About 2 weeks later he hung himself. Left behind a wife and kids. It really hit me hard because I almost dropped out of high school after 2 of my friends committed suicide. He was the one that got me counseling, helped me graduate, and encouraged me to go to college. I would not be here if it weren't for him. It just really hurt to know that while he was helping me accomplish that, he did the same thing only a month or 2 later. We planted trees for him to remember him by. R.I.P. Mr. Woodcroft, you meant well. The art teacher at my middle school was known to be very suspicious. I've heard that he would take pictures of girls and touch girls, and adding to the fact that he called 2 girls lesbians in front of the whole class. It was just very weird. All these rumors and he got fired eventually. I can't imagine how his wife must have felt when she asked why he got fired. They didn't fire him based on rumors. My money's on they had solid evidence against him, but it wasn't made public. Threesome with 2 guys in her English class and doing blow with a bunch of students. The one that for fired was a substitute teacher and coach of a girls team for grade 7-9. He seemed a bit creepy, and we joked that he liked coaching the girls and teaching pay so he could watch the girls run around in their shorts. Turns out that wasn't far from the truth. His full-time job was in the medical field, where he was caught doing inappropriate things to female patients, some of whom being kids he coached and taught, and he had 2 sons in that school. This one didn't get fired, but she was at the point where she had a few classes taken from her, and if she did anything wrong, she would have been gone. Why? Well, she didn't know the subject she was teaching, and would make stuff up rather than admitting she didn't know the answer. She was always mad, and we called her Popsicle because she acted like she had a stick up her ass. But the biggest thing was that she failed 2 grade 11 classes, the whole class, because apparently not one person, including the smartest people in the school, passed any tests. I had a teacher like the second one, science teacher, who believed the earth was flat. She was also a huge beach. Having sex with a student, more like 10. His wife wasn't happy to find out about that. Nonst on some kid playing Pokemon Go outside school also had child porn on laptop. For the non-Brits, nonce is British slang for pedo. Him and his college buddies invited an underage student over to his house for drinks. They then proceeded to drug and rape her. He still kept his job for a while after the fact because the girl was terrified and didn't know what to do, so she told her friends, which then made the story spread like wildfire, and all the people in a position to do something about it thought it was just a prank. Well, turns out it wasn't a prank. He got sent to prison. Considering it was a drugging and gang rape of a minor, he is probably out by now. I guarantee you he left the state because everyone and their angry redneck dad with a 12 gauge knew about what he did. Wasn't a teacher but our vice principal. Essentially our principal bumped her twin niece's class ranks up to valedictorian and salutatorian. The vice principal, one of the nicest guys I've ever met and a truly amazing guy, did what was right and confronted the school board and told them that this was unfair to those who actually earned those ranks. Those twins were some of the most average people I've ever encountered in my life, and they didn't work nearly as hard as the other candidates for the spot. It doesn't help that everyone on the school board, including the superintendent, was related to the principal. Thus, our heroic vice principal was fired, and it was a shock to the whole school. They tried covering it up by saying he didn't have the proper documentation education to be in his position. Though if that was the case, I'm not sure why they would hire him and let him stay for the first 2 years of my high school career. Everyone knew it was a sham, and the local news actually got involved when I called them during lunch. That next football game, NBC showed up and there was a protest outside of the local library. I printed out almost 100 flyers that read, "What are you gonna do? Fire me? Save Lightfoot." The entire school was pissed and the twins' ranks were promptly demoted back to 21st and 22nd in our class, though not until the next school year started. Edit. Holy crap, thank you guys for the upvotes. I'm new to Reddit and I'm glad that I could share my experience with you guys. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.